And China is laying out its economic future as the second biggest economy in the world. President Xi Jinping just unveiled a 5-year plan outlining goals for growth, budgets, industrial policy, and defense. In the backdrop, the war with Iran is adding to China's mounting economic issues. CBS News foreign correspondent Anna Coren is live in Beijing covering the National People's Congress. It's so great to have you sort of at the epicenter of another factor of all this. So we're going to get to the impact of the war on China in a moment. But what's coming out of the National People's Congress this morning?
Well, Kelly, the Premier Li Qiang, he delivered the report inside the Great Hall of the People. We were there to watch it, as was Chinese leader Xi Jinping. He was on stage, but just listening. But he set a growth target of less than 5%. Now, it hasn't dropped below 5% in more than 30 years. So that came as a bit of a surprise, certainly here in China. Although, if you take into consideration, what this economy has been going through, it probably isn't a surprise. Weak domestic consumption, high youth unemployment, as well as a property crisis. It's still reeling from something that happened 5 years ago. So this is an economy that is slowing its expansion, and obviously the growth target reflects that. You mentioned that 5-year plan, and this is like a grand vision for China. It's about self-reliance. That's what Xi Jinping wants the country to focus on, removing its reliance from the West, obviously removing its reliance from the Middle East on oil, but really becoming a global leader in industries, particularly AI and quantum computing technologies as well. But as I say, that war in the Middle East is impacting China, and the longer it drags on, it will have a real long-term impact on this country's growth and its economy, Kelly.
So, Anna, let me ask you about the war now and how this is impacting China's economy and what the Chinese are essentially saying about this U.S. military action that they are undertaking with Israel.
Well, China has come out and condemned the war. China and Iran are very close allies. It's a partnership that has been in existence for more than 50 years. And obviously, when the US and the West imposed those sanctions on Iran over its nuclear weapons program, Iran was selling the majority of its oil, most of its oil, in fact, to China. So China has benefited from this cheaper sanctioned Iranian oil. China is the world's largest importer of energy. 70% of its oil and natural gas comes from imports, and half of that is from the Middle East. So obviously, this has been a major disruptor to that supply line. And this is something, we heard from the Foreign Minister Wang Yi, straight after the attacks, and he said that America had violated international laws, that they'd assassinated a sovereign leader, and that they were pushing the region to a dangerous abyss. So this is something, obviously, that President Xi will be bringing up with President Trump when he arrives here in Beijing at the end of the month. He wants secure energy. Vlad.
And you think about the fact that you just said, right, they'll have to buy more expensive oil, then tie it back to the point that you made earlier, that their growth target is under 5%. That's not going to help things if they're paying more for that. Anna Coren, so great to have you in Beijing. The context is just incredible. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Anna.